Oh, good morning. Welcome to Dornbusch download number 134. Good morning, Rod.
Morning, Michael.
Now, Rod, you've got a bit to talk about today on aged care. A very topical issue we've been finding with a lot of clients, of course, now. Ageing population, the baby boomer generation, starting to sort of think seriously about, a lot of these options that are becoming available. I guess health has a bit to play with it as well, but yeah, mate, no, you've come up with a couple of things that the clients should be looking out for when looking at aged care.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we had a couple of clients recently just asking questions about the aged care sector. They've either got a parent going into aged care or the person themselves want to discuss it for future planning as well. So I've just got a couple of statistics here, just in regards to this all revolves around ageing population as well. So people over 65 in Australia at the moment, that's 3.6 million people, and that's going to increase up to 4.2 million come 2020, which is not far away. So just the ageing population transfers through to the aged care sector and how many people going into aged care homes. There was big changes back on 1st of July 2014, so that's where the rules for these aged care entry changed a lot. So some people got some advice a few years back, but now it has changed substantially, actually. So there's been a few changes. How we can help clients, Michael, is just there's a lot of issues in regards to the fees they're going to pay. They can pay a bond to go into a home. Or they can pay it progressively over time. Just the social security implications as well, if the person's receiving some sort of social security benefit or their partner is, how it impacts on that. And one of the big ones and one of the main questions we get asked is just dealing with the family home. So do we keep the family home? Do we sell the family home? Do we rent it out? And how is that going to impact on the fees to be paid to the aged care home and Centrelink benefits as well, and so on. So dealing with the family home is probably the most common question that we get, and there's a lot of scenarios that we run through. It's got to be customised to the client's situation. What else have we got here? I've got just the investment advice. There's different types of investments as well that can help eligibility for Centrelink benefits. And minimise fees for aged care home fees, and that flows through to the cash flow, cash flow for their partner still at home potentially. How does it impact on that, and how much cash flow the person in the aged care home is going to have over time, and then estate planning as well. We've spoken about estate planning previously, but we're all mortal, Michael. We all move off this earth, and what happens at that stage as well? What happens to the deposit you've paid to the aged care home? What happens to your partner's assets, and so on? So there's a lot of issues there, and that's where when a client comes to us and asks maybe one question, it flows on to a lot of different issues, and that's we just customise it to their circumstances.
There's a lot of moving parts, isn't there? And we were only talking about it before, that there's really no one size fits all, is there? Every investor, every client's basically a fresh sheet, really, isn't it? You go through and it's literally asking the questions and hopefully, coming up with the best possible outcome. But there's numerous sort of facilities out there as well, which adds to the confusion, doesn't it? They all work under a broad criteria, but they each have their own little sort of quirks as well. So there's a lot to it. But yeah, if certainly aged care does seem to be one of those areas where we are getting a lot of interest,
a lot of inquiry. I'll just go back to that. Whether you sell the family home or not, entering an aged care home, it can have significant financial impact. People think, well, it's not going to make too much of a difference. Well, we run some scenarios through, and it can be. It might make the difference of a $15,000 a year income difference potentially to someone's circumstances. So we're not talking about little differences here and there. It can have a significant impact to plan properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess just on that, if you do if you don't take in all the options, there's a really good chance that you could come out second best in a pretty bad way. So but no, more than happy to have a chat if you want to come in and get the good oil on aged care. It's one of those evolving beasts, and we certainly are seeing a lot of it at the moment. To markets very quickly. We had the day off yesterday. It was very enjoyable indeed. But our market's up a fair bit today, it's sort of knocking on the door of that 6,000 point mark. So again, we spoke a few weeks ago about 6,000 being potentially a pretty tough psychological level to get through. So, time will tell, I suppose. We've got bank reporting season next week, and I think Westpac the week after. So ANZ NAB coming out next week with results. Westpac the week after. So if anything can drag us through that 6,000 point barrier, it'll be bank results. But again, it's going to be a pretty tough nut to crack, that one. Certainly too overseas, we saw phase one, I guess, of the French election. Emmanuel Macron getting the thumbs up there in the early days, the more centralist candidate. Marine Le Pen, the other one, the more nationalist candidate. That's the one that's sort of
the right wing sort of things.
The markets are a little bit worried about, I think. But Emmanuel, thus far, sort of getting the green light, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. But all in all, markets moving along pretty well. But of course, if you've got any questions or queries, give us a call. More than happy to have a chat.
Excellent.
Right, all right. I think that's us done.
That's it. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, mate. See you soon.